busy. I considered this the most important job in the world, saving millions of lives. I think you would have had nuclear holocaust if I didn't deal with North Korea. I think you would have had a nuclear war if I weren't elected. And I think you might have a nuclear war now, if you want to know the truth.
Watch former President Donald Trump make an absolute fool of himself while being deposed for his civil fraud trial in New York.
The banks are shocked by this case. That's my opinion, because they've never had anything like this. Do you know the banks were fully paid? Do you know the banks made a lot of money? Do you know I don't believe I ever got even a default notice? And even during COVID, the banks were all paid. And yet you're suing on behalf of banks, I guess. It's crazy. The whole case is crazy.
How's the building doing today?
Good. It's right here. You like to see it?
I don't think we're allowed to open the windows.
Open the curtain.
No.
Open the curtain. Go ahead. It's right here. I just looked out the window.
It's not.
Can't open it?
I'm Rayy Vana, and welcome back to Rebel HQ. That was one hell of a deposition. He starts out by stating that as president, he prevented a nuclear war with North Korea for whatever reason. I can't understand how that would be pertinent to a trial for fraud in the state of New York. Just as a reminder, the lawsuit accused Donald Trump of defrauding banks, insurers, and others by inflating the value of his assets in order to secure loans, as well as make deals. The trial has ended, and Judge Arthur Engoron, who has presided over it, is now deliberating what Trump's penalties will be for engaging in fraud. Judge Engoron has stated that his intent is to come back with a ruling by January 31st. Despite the fact that this is not a jury trial and therefore Judge Engoron is the sole decider on what these penalties will be, Donald Trump has made attacking this judge in and out of the courtroom his full-time job. After relentlessly attacking both Judge Engoron and one of his law clerks, Engoron placed a small gag order on Donald Trump, preventing him from speaking about any of the law clerks in the public in the future, which Trump promptly violated. Donald Trump decided he wanted to deliver his own closing statements in the trial, which Engoron very graciously allowed him to do. And then chaos ensued. Engoron instructed Trump not to go outside of the facts of the case, to which Trump said he would do, and then immediately went outside the facts of the case to claim that he is the victim of a political witch hunt and that a great fraud has happened to him. Engoron addressed Trump's attorney and told him to please control his client, and at the end of the matter said things should have been handled differently. Yeah, things definitely should have been handled differently. But Trump's legal woes most certainly don't end with just this trial. Earlier this month, he was ordered to pay $400,000 to the New York Times and 3 journalists who published Pulitzer Prize-winning reports on Donald Trump's confidential tax information. The investigation revealed that Trump had engaged in tax schemes, as well as the fact that he acquired a lot of his wealth from his father, among other things. Trump sued both the New York Times and the individual reporters for what he referred to as an insidious plot to obtain his tax records from his estranged niece, Mary Trump, and that they had a personal vendetta against him. Unfortunately for Donald Trump, though, we here in America have something called the First Amendment and freedom of the press, which is exactly what the judge cited to while dismissing Donald Trump's case. Judge Robert Reed's exact words were, "Courts have long recognized that reporters are entitled to engage in legal and ordinary news-gathering activities without fear of tort liability, as these actions are at the very core of protected First Amendment activity." The case was dismissed, and Donald Trump was ordered to pay the attorney's fees and other legal fees of the New York Times and the 3 individual journalists. However, Donald Trump's lawsuit against his niece Mary Trump is ongoing. As far as civil trials against the former president, there's an ongoing defamation trial for damages in the state of New York against Donald Trump. And there are also cases in more than 30 states about whether Donald Trump is qualified to be on the ballot. Now, as far as criminal trials go, there are, of course, the hush money charges being brought by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. These are often considered the most tenuous and least significant legal claims against the former president, considering that there are issues with the statutes of limitation, as well as a heavy reliance on former Trump fixer Michael Cohen as a key witness, who himself has issues of credibility as someone who has previously been convicted of a felony. This case is set to go to trial on March 25th of this year. The next and the most clear-cut case is the documents case. Special Prosecutor Jack Smith has charged Trump with 37 felonies in connection to documents he removed from the White House following his presidency and stored at Mar-a-Lago. This trial is set to start May 20th of this year. The last two cases are the election subversion cases, one filed in Fulton County, Georgia, one with the DOJ. The federal trial will begin August 1st, and the Georgia trial has a proposed start date of August 5th. But these criminal trials are operating under a strict timeline, because if Donald Trump is reelected president, he will shut down any DOJ prosecution of himself. Trump is potentially the guiltiest man in America. Of course, he deserves to stand trial, but his actions were clear, and the evidence against him is abundant and obvious. We can't be a country that allows presidents, past or current, to be above the rule of law. And we definitely can't be a country that allows a criminal president to secure office again. Which is why it's imperative, as this litigation is ongoing, that we, as individuals, do what we can, namely vote, to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president once again.